on the cross, forget me not.
We asked Randy Seymour, where are you from and how did your hometown influence your music?
Well, my little hometown that I grew up in is called Humble, Texas. It's just a little bit north of Houston, and all we had was the rodeo and the radio, so that definitely influenced me a lot. I listened to a lot of country music, and I listened to a lot of rock music too, but when you're out in the country, you can really hear that country music and that Western music real well. So it was a good little Texas town, still is.
We asked Randy Seymour, who are your early music influences?
Well, my early music influences are actually still a lot of the same influences now. I listened to a lot of records that my folks played, people like Johnny Cash and Charlie Rich and Elvis Presley and Dean Martin. And then later on, my brother started playing Beatle records. And then his first year back from college, he started playing Willie Nelson records a lot. In fact, I think I've heard Shotgun Willie about as many times as it can be played and sung along to as well. So I got pretty wild about Willie Nelson early on. That I would have to say he was kind of the main guy that I thought, boy, he is really different. I really like him. And I'm a guy who's an artist. I'm a painter, so I like different things. I like for things to do something different. So I'd say Willie Nelson for sure, and all those other folks right in there with me.
We asked Randy Seymour, can you remember the moment you knew you wanted to pursue music seriously?
I never really wanted to be a musician. I grew up painting watercolors and doing pen and inks and things. So my first passion and pursuit was going to be art. I was going to go to an art college and the whole thing when I got out of high school. But once I started playing some music and started doing things in front of an audience, I think it took hold fairly seriously, especially when I decided I'd write my own songs and they seemed to be good enough to record. So I started making records when I was about 16 years old. I think that's when I really started taking the whole thing seriously and looking at music as like, okay, I'm going to just do this and take this as far as it can go.
We asked Randy Seymour, how would you describe your sound to someone who has never heard your music?
Well, if I had to describe my sound, I'd have to say it's kind of a fusion of country, traditional country, some folk, some classic rock, and some blues. So it all sort of kind of gets together. I used to write songs with a guy named Carl Perkins, and he said that we do feel-good music. So most of our music is feel-good music. It's got, hints of things like Don Williams and some Johnny Cash and people like that. So low baritone sounding voice, folky song, story songs. I like Tom T. Hall. I like those types of songs. So the sound is definitely a folk, country, rock sort of a thing. So that's it. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it when you're examining it in first person.
We asked Randy Seymour, what genres or artists inspire your current style?
One of my favorite music genres today is a thing called Americana. There's Americana country, Americana rock, Americana gospel, but anything that has Americana in front of it seems to appeal to me. It seems like it's more real. It's got more substance. The stories are there. The musicianship is really, really good. It almost sounds like hippie music, but I think I'm kind of a hippie at heart.
We asked Randy Seymour, do you write your own songs? If so, what is the writing process like for you?
I am a songwriter. I write my own songs. I like doing that. I like creating material. I like being creative. The process of writing songs for me is somewhat different in different situations. I've co-written with folks in little bitty rooms in Nashville or in my basement or in their basement or just anywhere that I can sit down with a guitar and an idea. But most of the songs that happen for me and really, really work are actually very early in the morning when I get up. If there's no noise in the house, there's no noise in the whole world. And that creative thing is already kind of rolling around in my head. I may have had the idea the night before. I may have had the idea the year before. I may have had the idea 20 years before. Either way, when it comes to me, it all starts coming out lyrically and musically. Usually lyrically first, because I need, for me, the words are very important to a commercial type of a song or a song that's supposed to tell a story. So I get those lyrics going, and then a music thing starts happening around that. And the next thing you know, 20 minutes later, I'm working on a song. And I'll massage that thing, or sometimes I'll walk away from it. I'll come back and I'll go, okay, I see where I need to go. I try not to work it to death. The main thing I always try to do is keep the initial energy and spark in the song when I first came up with it. If I lose that, then I just will end up writing the song to death. So that's how it works for me.
We asked Randy Seymour, what themes do you find yourself drawn to in your songwriting?
The themes that I usually gravitate towards when I'm writing songs have something to do with a little bit of spirituality and a little bit of things that are grounded in reality. Sometimes it can just be some silly thing that I've done, but I always try to keep them first person or keep them personal, simply because they're honest expressions, if they're coming out of me, of what I know and what I truly am feeling. So I try not to, jazz things up too much with catchy little things here and there. That's a craft that you learn when you're writing songs, or when you're writing a commercial for biscuits. So try to keep it grounded and keep it moving in a honest and true fashion that I know I can live with 10 years from now or 20 years from now.
We asked Randy Seymour, what has been your favorite live performance to date and why?
My favorite live performance that I've ever done, and I've done quite a few that I can name up there at the top of my list, simply because it was always thrilling to get in front of an audience that's listening and hanging on to everything you're doing, and you're hanging on to them as well. But my favorite one has to be a concert I did up in New Jersey in October of 2001, and it was to raise money for the people who had lost relatives and lost loved ones in the Twin Tower attacks of 9/11. So that was my favorite gig, I think, because it did everything that I feel like playing music does. It helped other people, it sent a message, and it lifted folks up in one of their darkest times. So music, live music, with some hope in there and maybe a little better outlook for the future. That was kind of my favorite gig. It was called the Alliance of Neighbors organization, and Bruce Springsteen was the headliner, along with John Bon Jovi and several other artists from New Jersey. It was a lot of fun.
We asked Randy Seymour, do you perform solo or with a band? What is your current lineup like?
I grew up playing in bands a lot. So right now I don't actually have a complete band. I do have guys I work with. I call them the last band standing. And we're going to be playing some in Texas here in 2026, I know. That's kind of what I do. I do mostly a solo thing, though, which is easier for me simply because I don't have to worry about somebody trying to read my mind when I'm going somewhere with a song or with an arrangement or something like that on stage.
We asked Randy Seymour, how has your music evolved since you started?
The evolution of my music is simply me being from one sort of genre to the other. I bounced around a lot of stuff. Started out as a little bitty country singer doing songs by myself, and then formed a band. Of course, we were in high school, so we were doing the hits that all the kids liked to dance to in high school. Once I got back out on my own, I moved to Nashville. I was definitely a country musician all the way. I had a band called the Knott Brothers. We were like a vocal trio. So I moved through that. I moved from that into doing straight up rock and roll to doing psychedelic rock, and then back into blues rock, and then back to blues, into rockabilly, and back into country again. So I've sort of been around the whole thing, and all of those things influence what I do now. There's always something about all of that I kind of draw from, little bits and pieces.
We asked Randy Seymour, what's the one thing you want your audience to feel after they've heard you perform?
Whenever I do a live performance, I always want to make sure that when I'm done, that someone, at least one person out there, has got something out of it, where they've heard something that they like, something that reminded them of something that was good, something that reminded them of someone who's not here anymore, something that made them feel like I was singing something to them. That's really what we do as musicians and as creators. We try to basically reach out and kind of grab a hold of other people with something that they're feeling.
We asked Randy Seymour, can you tell us about your current release and the story behind it?
My latest single that I have out is a song called Forget Me Not. I came up with this haphazardly in a good sort of way. I was trying to write a song, sort of a gospel song, to sing at the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. They have a gospel breakfast morning show that they do after their gala celebration every year, and I was hosting it, and I thought, I've got some good gospel songs, but I think there's one more I can come up with. So I sort of hammered away a little bit of it and didn't get anywhere, so left it to kind of sit around for a while, and I came back to it when I started thinking about a story that my wife had told me about how she grew up and things like that. So I sort of kind of rolled all that into there, feeling a first-person, one-on-one vibe going on. So it became a song called Forget Me Not. And I'm pretty proud of the record right now. I think it's going to do well. But most of all, every time I play it, somebody comes up and says, "Is that your song?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's one of mine." They go, "Wow, I'd like to get a copy of that." I love to hear that.
We asked Randy Seymour, what are your current short-term goals as an artist?
It's funny. I don't really have a whole lot of goals or plans for the future when it comes to playing music. My plan is just to keep doing what I'm doing. It's the thing about planning is I always tell people, and this is the honest to God truth, anything I've ever planned has never worked out, and everything that I ever got to do sort of fell in my lap without me even knowing that it was going to happen. So I've kind of moved away from planning on things and just kind of let things happen the way they are, and just keep playing that music and keep singing them songs, and whatever happens, that's what happens.
We asked Randy Seymour, what's a dream venue or artist you would like to share the stage with?
So there's a question about who is like my dream artist that I'd like to share the stage with in some dream location. To tell you the truth, the only person I could probably single out that's still alive that I'd love to do a show with, just because I love everything he does, is a guy named Bob Seger. I like a lot of country singers. I like folk singers and folks like that. But Bob Seger makes purely great records and really, really delivers the goods on stage. I'd love to be part of that. And that would be anywhere, outdoors, indoors, in my backyard, wherever. That would be my dream gig.
We asked Randy Seymour, what do you like to do outside of music?
When I'm not playing music, I like just hanging around the house, going out to the lake, going fishing, get my golf clubs, go play golf, hang out with my brother when he comes to visit. Definitely hang out with Linda, my wife. She's my best friend. She's my buddy. There's there's simple ways to enjoy life, and that's kind of what I do when I'm not on a stage playing some music. And to tell you the truth, that's part of how I enjoy life too. So there's not a whole lot of gray area between playing music fun and just fun not playing music.
Forget me not, oh Lord, I pray. If I make it home, will you let me stay? Though I've forsaken thee and lost my way, like a thief on the cross, forget me